Hi everyone, just a little message to let you know that I'm really sorry, but there is a problem with the audio in this video. And the fun part is that just before shooting the video, I heard a voice telling me and suggesting me that it would be better to put my mic outside of my t-shirt and not inside my t-shirt. And of course, I didn't follow the advice. And so now there's a problem with the audio in this video, but I just hope that you will enjoy the video anyway. Hi everyone! In this video I'm going to talk about spiritual guides, and I know this is a subject that a lot of people are interested in because we just need to look at the amount of articles, videos out there on the internet. It's quite crazy, and I think the main question people have is how to interact with these spiritual guides or how to hear the messages from them. So first of all, let's define what a guide is. In our material world, a guide is someone, a person who will help us on our journey, on our path, maybe advise us, and definitely support us on our path. So a spiritual guide is something pretty similar, only of course it's in the spiritual realm, so it might be one or several spiritual guides guiding us on our spiritual journey and making sure that we are also on the right track in our life, and that we can fulfill our mission as a soul. Because every soul has a mission. And by mission, I mean not, the kind of mission when we think about like the superhero mission that comes to planet Earth to save the planet. No. I'm talking about a mission in a sense that before incarnating, every soul discusses with its guides what are the themes, the specific themes that they wish to explore in a lifetime, so they can evolve and grow from this exploration. So this is what I mean by every soul has a mission, because of course ultimately the goal is to grow and expand as a soul. Guides can take many different forms. So a spiritual guide can be an ancestor, it can be a deceased loved one, it can be a soulmate, a twin flame, it can be a pet, a deceased pet, for example, or an animal totem. It can be even an ancestor or a master from a past lifetime. It can be an ascended master. It can be a nature spirit, or a spirit from the inner earth, or a spirit from the stars, or even the consciousness of the planet itself, Gaia, and many other forms. So as you can see, there's really a whole variety of different forms of beings and consciousnesses that can be a spiritual guide. So what I've noticed is that not all spiritual guides stay and remain the same during an entire lifetime. So some of them do, some of them might, but not always, and not all of them. So for example, I've noticed that when there's a shift in our awareness, or we go through major crises during our lifetime, or we go through a lot of transformation, and then it's like we almost graduate from one level of consciousness to another, then there tends to be new guides coming in, because they are more in tune vibrationally with the consciousness that we attained. For example, last year I was going through a major phase of transformation, of shifts in consciousness, and I visited the Akashic Records, and there is a new guide that presented himself to me. I like to call him Merlin. He's not Merlin, but because he looks like an old, wise druid, and that's why I call him Merlin, and I make fun of him in that way. But he said specifically to me that he was coming to me because he was going to be one of my main guides, and that his specialty was to be a guide for the earthly guides, so in a way a guide for the guides. What we need to know is that even though we are under the impression sometimes that we can't hear our guides, or that we don't receive anything from them, well, they do interact with us and they do transmit things to us, even though we are not aware of it sometimes. So, for example, they will leave signs in our environment. They will leave an object, they will leave a book or a text that we need to read, and that is going to be able to help us. Or they will also play with numbers, so the synchronicity with numbers is often something they use just to show us that we are on the right path, for example. And of course, it's always subtle, so it's never something that is imposed upon us. So, for example, when we hear our guides, it's a very soft and subtle voice, almost like a little fairy whispering in our ear, and it's never something like a strong, imposing voice. And also, it's the difference between an angel and a guide, because sometimes angels also interact with us. We can also receive messages from them. They can also sometimes guide us. Well, the main difference is that angels are really there to protect us. They protect our physical body and they protect our energy as well. And even though they can interact with us as well, that's their main role. That's why we call them guardian angels, because they are guardians in a way. And of course, another way that we can interact with our guides or angels, if we want, we can ask them to transmit messages while we sleep. So they can really enter our dreams and transmit certain messages that we need to be aware of for our journey. One of the most important things to remember concerning spiritual guides is that they never interfere with our choices and they never interfere with our free will. That's a universal law. So if we hear voices in our head that say, do this, do that, no, don't do this, do that, or anything that suggests an order, then we can be sure that it's not our spiritual guide speaking, and it's very likely to be our own minds or our ego pretending to be a spiritual guide. And I often see in the spiritual community people who only swear by their guides, and they never make a single decision without the agreement of their guides. And again, this is not their guides, it's their own minds, their own spiritual ego pretending to be their guides. It's because a guide is not a crutch. We're not dependent upon a guide. And this is why they don't make choices on our behalf. We make the choices, and they are only there to support us along the way. And so that's really important to know, because otherwise it becomes, again, this kind of a childish way of seeing things, you know, like almost the spiritual guides are our parents and we must, you know, ask for them if it's right to do this or that. And that's not how it works, because spiritual guides, they want us to grow. They want us to expand. They wish that we empower ourselves as well. So they are not there to be, you know, like our teachers or our masters or our parents. They're just there to support us. That's all. So, and also concerning certain messages, sometimes people say they receive messages from their guides, and when we hear the messages, it feels like something pretty negative or judgmental or even fear-based. And when we feel that, we can also have a clue that this is not a spiritual guide speaking, and it's very likely to be, at best, it's again the spiritual ego speaking, and sometimes in worst cases it might be a kind of negative entity that is channeled as well, because in the spiritual realm there aren't only light beings, there are also beings that are not so much in the light. Human beings have often been manipulated or deceived by these so-called negative entities. And the reason I want to just mention this here is not to, you know, to create fear or anything, but it's true that now in these times where there's this extreme polarization of light and darkness, the lower astral plane is quite present in the 3D world, and it's kind of it tries to interfere with the human energy as much as it can, because it's fighting for its survival in a way. And so we must really use our discernment to know what we are exactly dealing with when we hear messages from the spirit realm. So again, does it resonate? Is it heart-centered? Is it fear-based? What does it serve? Etc., etc. Because some people are not necessarily aware of it, but sometimes there are certain flaws in their energy. And through these flaws, these entities can come through, because there is always a kind of a resonance between their vibration and these kinds of entities. And this is also true sometimes when we see professionals, so either psychic mediums or channelers, and we must also be careful and use our discernment regarding the messages that come through. So again, are they fear-based? or are they love-based? How do I feel in my body when I listen to that message? Is it something positive for me, or is it something that seems a little bit constricting or negative for me? And on that subject, I can also direct you to a video I made about the false light and the dangers of the New Age, which you can find. I think I'll put the link below here in the description box. As we saw earlier, guides interact with us in different ways. And if we really want to start hearing their messages, if we want to also have maybe a little chat with them, then it's really important that we are in a receptive mode. And to be in a receptive mode, the mind must be calm. So especially if we have this hyperactive monkey mind, you know, like jumping around all the time, it's very important to have a daily meditation practice, or at least do some breathing or relaxation exercises, so that we can really let go, so the body is completely relaxed and the mind gets calmer and calmer, and so we can start hearing messages. Because as I said in the beginning, when we hear the voices of our guides, it's very subtle, it's very soft, and it's always almost like in the background, and so the mind must be quite still and quite calm to be able to pick up all these messages. Sometimes people say to me, but I asked my guides and I didn't receive any answer. And so I say to them, well, maybe it was not the right timing for you to receive the answer, or you have the answer within, and you need to look within for the answer. So as you can see, it's not, you know, the guides that have all the answers for us, and sometimes we also have to go inside and find the answer ourselves. When I do healing sessions with people, I often receive messages from their guides, and the message I receive the more often is the following: we are here with you, we would like to interact with you, and we would like to help you. Please contact us. And so this is just to say that, you know, on a global level, the soul knows that there is some spiritual help out there, but sometimes the human mind is so caught up in this daily struggle that it completely forgets about this spiritual help that it can get, you know? So it's almost like a reminder to tell these people, look, we're here, we're just waiting for your, you know, for your questions. And in a way, they cannot, you know, offer help unless we ask them first. So maybe this is also a global message for all the people watching this video. Your guides want to contact you, they want to help you, but you have to ask first. So now you know, you can ask them and they'll be really very, very happy to do so. And finally, interacting and connecting with our spiritual guides is awesome, but connecting with our own soul, our own higher self, and our own light is even better. And in this universe where there's only just one consciousness and everything is one, in the end, when we are interacting with an angel, a spiritual guide, or any kind of entity that is helping us, isn't it ultimately interacting with aspects of our own higher self in the end? Satnam.